Chismosas, I keep getting a lot of the same questions in my DMs and my comments about these massive raids that are happening across the country. And I have been very hesitant to answer these questions because I am not a lawyer. I don't know anything professionally about this, but I was just reading this article that I feel like could be a big help to you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and break it down for you guys. Now let's dive into this first part because I get this all the time. Do they need a warrant? And this article does a great job explaining this because yes, they do need a warrant, but there's two different types of warrants that they have, and this is gonna break down what they do and what they can't do with those warrants. So the ICE warrant, or the administrative warrant that a lot of people have been talking about, allows an agent to arrest the person for which the warrant is issued. But it does not allow an agent to demand entry to someone's home or a private place. So this is the administrative warrant that I have seen so many people talk about, that they'll be like, hey, I need a warrant for you guys to come in if they're knocking on your door. And they're like, 1 second, they'll go to their car and they'll come back with something that looks like this. Now, this warrant allows them to arrest you, but they can't go into your house to do so with just that warrant. ¿Qué quiere decir? If you go outside of your house, you leave your house, they could, in reality, use this to arrest you. But if you're in your house and you refuse to allow them in because they don't have an actual judicial warrant, then they can't do bupkis to you. Now let's explain this further. Under current US law, an ICE agent can arrest an undocumented person found in public spaces without a judicial warrant. And this is the judicial warrant. This one in question. Let me remove myself. Right there. This is what the actual judicial warrant looks. Very different from the admin. But again, they can't go into the home without the actual warrant signed by the judge. And that's why they're so pissed off at people in Chicago specifically, because they're like, nah, you can't come in here with that warrant. Well, it's making their job a lot more difficult if you know your rights. So please pay attention to this. This goes into even more detail. So look at this. They cannot force themselves into places where they are refused entry if all they have is an administrative warrant. Only if it's not a public place like your home. Some more information aside from those warrants. What can they and what can't they do? Now, unlike the police officers, these agents do not require probable cause to initiate an immigration stop and can detain individuals based on civil immigration violations rather than criminal offenses. So basically, you could be driving, minding your own beeswax, and they could stop you just because they don't need probable cause. However, they do not have the same broad authority as police when it comes to conducting searches and arrests. If they request to search you, you have the right to say no. They do not have the right to search you or your belongings without your consent or probable cause. In some states, you have to provide your name to law enforcement if you are stopped and told to identify yourself. But even if you give your name, you don't have to answer any other questions, particularly tied to your citizenship or your status. Now, how long could they hold you? They can hold individuals in detention for an indefinite period, but there are legal limits on how long detainees can be held without review. According to federal regulations, they're generally required to make a custody determination within 48 hours. However, some detainees may remain in custody for weeks or even months while awaiting immigration court hearings or deportation proceedings. If an individual is subject to mandatory detention due to certain criminal convictions, they may be held without bond until their case is resolved. Now, this is very, very important, guys. So please, if this is something that you think that somebody you know could benefit from knowing, please send it to them. Send it to your cousins, your uncles, your neighbors, anybody who needs to hear this, because it's very, very, very important. So let's get this out there so everybody knows their rights and they can fend for themselves appropriately. And as always, guys, don't forget to like and follow for more gossip, chisme, and all things tea.